Hey guys! So this is actually a different type of video that I'm going to be doing. So during the time that I'm recording this video, I am editing the video in relationship to Is Madoka Magica a Yuri anime? Basically, it's a video where I'm editing Madoka and Homura, and I'm talking about, I'm basically leading a discussion into the idea if Madoka is a Yuri anime by analyzing different aspects of it. And so yeah, during the time of this recording, I'm editing that video, and I won't deny that I'm sort of struggling a little bit, I would say, more so with the editing aspect of it, because, editing videos for me takes a while. Sometimes it can take, a few days, but sometimes it can take a week, and in some cases the video can take, even longer than that when it comes to the editing part. So I'm just currently going through a thing where I'm sort of struggling, though I would imagine that by the time this goes up I will have already completed it. But in editing the video, because one thing about having this channel, like having a Madoka channel, is that my interest and love of the show has grown by nature of me continuously making videos. And I think that just comes because, when you're constantly editing something, or when you're constantly putting focus on something, in my case, because of the fact that I'm always putting focus on making videos and thinking about this, because for me it's a process. It's like I come up with ideas, I sometimes have to write down the ideas and script them, then I have to record myself, and sometimes when I record myself I sort of just kind of go out the top of my head. So what I'm trying to say is that, and I've been making videos about Madoka for multiple years now, on and off. So when you're constantly focused on something, you sort of tend to see different things in relationship to what you're focused on. One thing that I will say about that I've been able to feel in editing this video is my sympathy for Homura has really gone up a lot compared to what it used to be, because because essentially I'm as I said, I'm editing the Yuri video, and there are certain aspects of this video where I'm essentially reciting what Homura says to Madoka in episode 11, or I think it's episode 11, where she is expressing her deepest desires of wanting to protect Madoka, and in a way it's kind of like she's crying, when it comes to the words that she's actually saying. Like, you can sort of like feel like how emotional she is, and how much she truly wants to, be able to protect Madoka, and how much she wants her feelings to reach her. And you feel kind of bad for Homura, because despite all of her efforts, despite all of her heartfelt, words of desire, you sort of feel like Madoka's not really getting it. And I essentially kind of relate this to the idea that, everybody has something that they truly want. Everybody has something that they truly want with all their heart. It's like we all have desires. It's just like with Homura. Homura has a desire to protect Madoka, and she essentially bleeds with desire throughout the series. And I of course have my own desires and things that I want to achieve in my own life. And just like Homura, and I think we all can relate to this, like there are plenty of times where Homura fights her hardest to try to make her dreams a reality, and every time she's trying, she just sort of gets knocked down and tossed around, and she just constantly is struggling, and and there are plenty of times where she questions if she should give up or if she should keep going. And like I said, I can personally really relate to the idea of the struggle of trying to push to make, your dreams a reality. It's like, you have an idea of what you want to do in your life, and then you move on that path. And then as you're moving on that path, you just find obstacle after obstacle. Things are not what you expected them to be when you first went on the path, which again, I think that this is something that a lot of the characters in Madoka go through. It's like Homura wanted to protect Madoka. I'm sure she never could have imagined that in making this decision that she was going to be faced with so much opposition when it came to, Kyubey, when it came to the circumstances with fighting with the other girls, when it came to how big Walpurgis Notch was, when it just came to how it was hard for her to communicate with Madoka, and all the different timelines that they were interacting, and how this hurt her. And you could say the same thing about someone like Sayaka. Sayaka was another character who really had this resolve to want to help people. She wanted to save her childhood friend who she was in love with. and she really had this very bright, happy demeanor in going on her path to being a magical girl and protecting people. However, when she started to go on that path, she got hit with all these obstacles. So yeah, as I'm sitting here, I'm just sort of realizing, you know, in editing this video, you know, it's making me think more about the Madoka series and the idea of these struggles that the girls go through. Because again, I feel like we can all relate to that. You know, we all have something that we're trying to push through and we're trying to struggle with. It could just be going to school every single day and you don't want to be there. Or it could just be, you know, going to work. Or maybe it's a relationship. Maybe you're struggling because you're trying to make a relationship work with somebody that you love and it's not going very well. So I think that the lesson in all this, at least this is pretty much what I take from this series, because I have this philosophy. One of the reasons why I love the Madoka Magica series is because through that series I was able to learn a very important lesson about myself and I guess other people, but more so I connected to myself, and that is the idea you don't have to be perfect in order to be an imperfect masterpiece. You don't have to be the best as long as you do your best. What that essentially means is that, you know, all of these girls are all going through different struggles emotionally and within their lives, and I think that one lesson to take from that is that we're not alone. I think that's the biggest thing that we can all take, because a lot of times when we're struggling with different things, we feel as though we're the only ones in the world that are going through these different struggles. And Madoka Magica helps us to be able to understand the fact that we're not alone. We're all going through essentially the same type of struggles. You know, I think to a certain extent, we all can relate to the idea of having desires and wanting to fulfill those desires. And when you try to fulfill them, they don't always work the way that we want them to. But I definitely think it's very important to keep pushing on that path. It's definitely important to continue to, you know, keep moving. And I guess the idea is that if you need encouragement to achieve whatever you want to achieve, I guess the most important thing is to remember why it is that you're doing what you're doing. Like, what is your vision for yourself? Like, why are you pushing toward whatever path that you're pushing toward in relationship to whatever goal that you have? You know, keep in mind, you know, it's also important, I think, to track your progress. It's important to track your progress and see how far you've come in the path that you've actually taken. Because, for example, while Homura was probably very hard on herself in the idea of not being able to succeed with Madoka, you could really make an argument that through all of her efforts, she was making progress the whole time. She had become a much stronger person on her path to protect Madoka than when she first started. It's like when Homura started on her path to protect Madoka, she was very frail, she was very ill, she wasn't very, you know, strong. I guess she didn't have as much confidence within herself when it came to her abilities in fighting. And through her effort to try to protect Madoka, she grew as a person. Ideally, you know, when Homura and Madoka first met, Homura had mentioned that Madoka had mentioned that she thought that Homura had a really cool name and that she should kind of live up to it. And Homura, without realizing it, was able to do just that. You know, so what I'm trying to say, and I think Homura's example is a great way of saying that, when you're trying to push past an obstacle, it's very important to be mindful of how far that you've actually come, because I think that when you remind yourself of how far you've come when you're trying to achieve a goal, it helps to inspire you to want to keep going, because it sort of helps you to look at yourself and be like, oh wow, you know, I came really far. I started off a certain kind of way and then I was able to advance. It's just like with Homura. Homura started off, you know, very frail, you know, very weak, but she was able to advance as a person, and her goal of wanting to save Madoka was always something that you can make the argument increased more and more over time, you know? I mean, yes, you can make the argument that Homura was not able to save Madoka in the way that she did. However, depending on how you want to look at it, you can make an argument that she did. In other words, her goal in many ways was to try to save Madoka from dying. And at the very least, Madoka was able to enter a state where she technically did not really die. She just became, you know, a concept, which in turn was able to help everybody. So in a sense, you can still say that Homura was able to achieve her goal. But more importantly than that, again, I just think that Homura's story really tells us really showcases something that we can relate to in the idea of having desires and struggling to do everything you can to achieve those desires, and feeling like despite how much you try, you're not doing what you want to do, or things aren't working out the way that you want them to. But again, in following the path to your dreams, or following the path to your goals, you will see, it's important to see how far you've come and what you've done, because if you do that, then it'll help you to realize, you know, how much stronger and how much wiser, and how you started off, you know, a certain kind of way, and then you were able to become, you know, and then you were able to advance. It's just like when you think about where we all started when we were babies and where we currently are right now. A lot of us have come very far in relationship to how we are as people. So yeah, I really think that Homura's example of her constant struggle to achieve her dreams is really something that I feel is really inspirational. And again, it really goes to show that we're not alone. And even if you go on a path to your dreams, you may not necessarily get to where you want to get to, or things may not play out the way that you want them to. But again, sometimes in life, more so than the destination, it's about the journey, you know, more so than you know, because no matter what, you can say that Homura was able to achieve one of her goals, and that was essentially making herself into a cooler, stronger person, which lived up to her name. So you can technically say that in a sense that was probably Homura's original goal in relationship to Madoka, and she was able to achieve that. So yeah, again, I think more than anything, this series shows us that, you know, we all can relate to having a struggle. Most important thing is to look at how far you've come, because when you do that, it'll help you to have the motivation to want to keep going. And yeah, to me, Homura is a representation of that you don't have to be perfect in order to be an imperfect masterpiece, because she is not perfect in what it is that she's going through in relationship to her struggles and her desires. But at the same time, you know, she's amazing because of the fact that she is a person who, despite all odds, continues to keep pushing. And I think that's an example that we all can learn from and we all can relate to. And at the very least, we can use her example to understand that we're not alone, and that despite whatever struggles we're going through, it's important to pay attention and track our progress to see how much we've grown. Because if you were to think about how much you have changed in pursuit of what makes you happy, then you realize, you know, you're closer now than you ever were before, because of the fact that you have become wiser, you become stronger. You know, despite all the issues that Homura had in trying to save Madoka, she was always getting closer to her goal. She was always getting closer to a situation in which she was able to do it. You know, and you could even use Rebellion as an example to illustrate that even more. That, you know, she went through all the struggles that she went through in the timeline, and eventually she was able to get what she wanted, regardless of if it was right, regardless of if it was wrong. She was able to achieve a certain level of satisfaction, being able to keep the person that she loved close to her. But in order for her to get to that point, she had to go through a lot of struggle in order to get there. So yeah, I feel like, you know, but I feel like, you know, she's beautiful for that. You know, that's, again, that is a reminder that if you keep pushing, you know, you have to overcome odds in order to achieve what you want. That's just like the foundation of life. You have to go through odds. And this is something that I always try to remind myself all the time, because I have moments, you know, I watch a lot of self-help, so I always try to find ways to motivate myself to push toward my dreams. And I sometimes have these moments where I just really question if I'm really going to make it, if things are really going to play out the way that I want them to, or if anything is going to happen for me. And then, but again, when I think about Homura and I think about her struggle, it fills me with a lot more courage, and it fills me with a lot more confidence, because again, I'm able to use her example as inspiration to keep pushing forward. You know, even when it comes to editing that video currently that I am struggling with, I definitely can say that in saying these words, it is helping me to feel, you know, that I can keep going despite this fact that I feel a little defeated at the moment. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Do you have any struggles or goals that you're currently trying to push past? And You know, are you able to see within the Madoka series examples of ways that these girls are overcoming, you know, their struggles and still pushing toward what they care about? Again, I just mostly talked about Homura and what she went through to achieve her goals, and that she was able to, most important thing was that she became a stronger person in pursuit of what she was trying to do. And I talked about why it's important to, in your life, to keep track of your struggles in order to inspire yourself to keep going. So yeah, are there any examples of times where you yourself felt inspired by the girls within the Madoka series? Like, is there anything about Homura's life that inspires you in some kind of way? Or is there anything about Sayaka's life that inspires you in some kind of way? Or maybe Madoka or Kyoko? Is there anything about these girls that inspire you to want to keep pushing in your life despite whatever struggles? Because as I said, every single girl goes through a struggle. Homura struggles, Sayaka struggles, Kyoko struggles too, and Mami. Every girl struggles. That's why I love this series. This series does a wonderful job in helping to create that human connection and relatability. And so yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. This is Mommy Sexual signing out. Peace.